Welcome to PODNASTICS. My name is Jacob Daniel, and along with my friend and co-host Christian Marsh, we interview gymnasts and let them tell their stories. From college-level gymnasts to Olympic stars, we're going to cover it all. This is PODNASTICS. What is up, Pod Nation? Welcome back to another episode of PODNASTICS Chalk Show. I am your very brave, handsome, and 6'5" anchor, Jacob Daniel. And with sports and weather, my co-host, Christian Marsh. Marsh, how are you doing in the studio today?
Oh, I am exhausted. I am humbled to be in your presence.
Blah, 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 blah,
Intimidated.
blah, blah. I'm a lawyer and I chose to go to law school. Wah, wah. No, I'm joking. Your life sucks. Marsh, before we get this episode running, give us a little idea of how your day has gone.
Oh, that's a great question. I woke up, I went to class. I only have one class on Thursday, so you think it'd be slight, but I went to class. Then I had a meeting with the Office of Career Services because certain administrative changes have made it more difficult to get jobs in certain sectors. So the federal job hiring freeze has affected my postgraduate employment opportunities. So that has been a tough realm to navigate. I spoke with them for about 2 hours. Then I went and I worked out for about an hour and a half. I came back. I had a makeup class because of snow days for two and a half hours. Talked about terrorism and World War II and war crimes, all that fun stuff. And as soon as I finished that, I watched William and Mary women's basketball, who just made the tournament for the first time in men's and women's history at William and Mary. I watched the first 3 quarters of their game, and now I am here, just about ready to record the podcast and pass out.
Man, what a day. I rewatched Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets for the second time in 2 weeks. You and me, we're both having pretty eventful days, but that's not why people tuned in for this episode. Actually, before we start this episode, it was funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine who listens to our podcast. Shout out to Stuart McKay, and he was doing an impression of me doing the podcast where wherever I guess we're talking to a guest and you will say something and I will just start talking over you and be like, "Oh, I'll let you finish, but let me tell this story." And I want to say to all our listeners, um sometimes I just got to talk, you know? I Marsh, how do you feel about this?
I mean, honestly,
Honestly, I think we have to start the episode, man. I think we got to get the episode rolling. Guys, on today's episode of Chalk Show, we are going to be discussing what Gymact is. And personally, I think while me and Marsh could sum it up, I think it works better to have two people who actually know the ins and outs of how a Gymact men's team works. On today's episode, we have Connor Van Boxclar and we have Gabe Fry on the show. Guys, how are we doing today?
Doing good, doing good. That was perfect pronunciation with the last name, by the way.
Connor,
Applaud to
I
you, bro.
Perfect.
Con- Connor, I always mess. Say your last name for me one more time. I always mess it up.
It's Van Boxler.
In my phone, you are called Connor Van Boxcar Vroom Vroom. So
Yep,
you'll have to excuse me.
that's fair. That's completely fair.
All right, and Gabe, how about you introduce yourself a little bit?
My name is Gabe Fry. I've been on the Iowa team this is my third season out there. Yeah, I've been doing gymnastics competitively since I was like 4 or 5, and that's pretty much been my life. So
A man of few words.
it's just gymnastics. That's pretty much it.
Gabe's like, I like gymnastics and I like my girlfriend. I love anime.
Yep.
Connor, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, pretty similar story to Gabe. I've been on the Iowa team now this is my second season. I started competitive gymnastics when I was 4 years old, and same thing. It's just my life at this point. I love it with my whole heart, you know. I go work at summer camps now in the summer. Shout out Flip Fest.
Yeah, I will preference. And, this is actually, I think, the first time where we've done a podcast where Marsh knows the guest coming into this, at least a little bit. I know he knows Gabe. I think Connor, you and Marsh have maybe met in passing once. Or go, Marsh is
I
shaking
don't
his
think
head.
so.
No, I did not. I actually wasn't even sure that was his real last name. I thought that was a nickname. Uh, yeah, so it's nice to talk to him. I think we did like a movie night once via Zoom. So
Yes, we
other than
did.
that, I do know Gabe
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah, we've all worked at Flip Fest Summer Gymnastics Camp before. You know, when it came down to it, me and Marsh have talked about wanting to do an episode on Gymact for a while now. And like I said previously, I feel like the best people who can talk about this are people who are part of a Gymact program, mostly because I don't feel like a lot of people have, one, a lot of knowledge about Gymact, and two, people don't really know, first off, the ins and outs, but like how much is relying on the team to get stuff done. You know, so with that being said, Gabe or Connor, who wants to explain what a Gymact program is?
Gabe,
Yeah,
you want to go for it?
I got a pretty good explanation. Gymact is essentially it's club gymnastics for the most part. We don't like to think of it as club gymnastics. We just operate under that term. A lot of people like NCAA gymnastics is progressively getting less and less available for gymnasts, male gymnasts across the country. Coming into this next season, there's going to be more Gymact teams than there will be NCAA teams, and that is just from people getting together, joining, and calling themselves something. There's different types of programs. There's United teams and there's teams associated with schools. We've been very lucky and thankful to be associated with the University of Iowa. There definitely is some ups and downs to that. I mean, we get to compete as the Hawkeyes, but there are a lot of rules they have to follow and restrictions that we have along with it. Yeah, it's been a great thing that's been growing the last couple of years. And yeah, United teams as well. Oh, sorry, Marsh.
No, I was just gonna say, I was gonna add on at the end there. It's interesting that you said we're practically a club team, but we don't think of ourselves that way because as a varsity athlete, I never thought of Gym Act as club plus. I thought of it as like varsity without the funding. And that might be just because of like my perspective. William and Mary is a school that operates with virtually no scholarship money, and as such, we qualify for the USA Gymnastics Championship, which is for schools with less than two full scholarships or so. And so it's us, it's Springfield, and then it's the academies for, different reasons. But in that meet, when I was younger, we actually got to compete against some of the club teams before there was Gym Act. So like I competed directly against Arizona State and Washington. And so, yeah, that's just interesting perspective there because I've always thought of it as more top down than bottom up, I guess.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. We get no funding from the schools. We don't have any trainers. We don't do scholarships. It is really just fundraising, donations from alumni or supporters that really kind of keep us running and traveling for competitions for the season.
We are provided space to train though. We train in the field house right now, and we are incredibly thankful for that. And it's amazing. It's a great facility to train at. But yeah, I love it there personally.
How long has Iowa been a Gymact program now? Because they had a men's team for a minute.
Yeah. So this is the fourth year that the University of Iowa is now under Gymact. They dropped the program, and the last competitive season in NCAA was 2020, and starting in 2021, I believe, was their first Gymact season.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I knew that I know Minnesota had dropped their program, which I mean that one made my eyebrows shoot up in the eye because I was like, what do you mean? Like they were one of the best men's gymnastics schools for a while.
Yeah, that was all within like a 4 week span as well. I don't remember who was first, whether it was Minnesota or Iowa, but it was one of them. And then like 2 weeks later, the other team dropped their program. And I remember, sitting around like, dude, I wonder who's going to be next. And then like 2 weeks later, it was William and Mary.
Well,
Of course, our story ends up being different and fortunately a little more upbeat in that we were able to get our program reinstated. But there was like that, all of those cuts happened in the same year and within a very short span of time.
so here's my question. Was Jim Act around before they started cutting teams, or this is pretty new though, is
Uh,
the Jim Act program?
Gymact has been around for quite a while, I believe. Arizona State was the biggest team in Gymact for a long time, and I only know that because the first year that Iowa dropped the NCAA program, all the NCAA gymnasts, they switched to Gymact and just demolished everybody and upset Arizona at the Gymact Nationals. But I believe Gymact has been around for quite some time. It just hasn't gotten as much popularity until those bigger programs started dropping in recent years.
Well, Gymact under that name started, I believe, in 2018, but it had a different name before it, and I don't know exactly what the name was. It's definitely out there still, but that's when they came under that name and stuff like that. Because teams like Arizona State and Washington that were dropped longer ago, they still competed, and like Marsh was saying, he competed against them and stuff like that. So they've been around. It was just then they came under this Gymact title, which, has been great for the sport, in my opinion, at least.
I was going to say that I think Gymact has provided an outlet for gymnasts who maybe didn't get a immediate scholarship to a higher up school, and it gives them an outlet to keep progressing through their college years. How did you guys end up on the Iowa team? Gabe, I know you're a little older than Connor, but how did that work? How did you get recruited, or did you have to make your case in point to be on the team?
So coming out of like high school, I knew I was not a good enough gymnast to be part of an NCAA program. I was accepted into Iowa, Nebraska, and I believe Minnesota out of high school. I had one more year of eligibility through JO because I graduated at 17. So I chose to take that, and I reapplied the year after that. And that was directly following COVID. I graduated in 2020. So the programs had been dropped by that point, and I choose to go to Nebraska and try and walk on and train as a club to try and get to that point, or go to Iowa where I would go on to the Gymact program. And for me, that was the year after a lot of the NCAA guys either transferred out, like Amari Sewell or James Friedman. I believe he went to Nebraska as well. And they were looking for people to join the team. So I just reached out and said I was accepted in the University of Iowa. Is there space on the team? And they said yes. And it was just on the team from there and started training with them. So.
Wow, they did a 2-for-1 deal, and they let your buddy Connor come with you.
I was like,
Okay,
please,
okay.
please,
I was begging, but no, I graduated high school in 2022. I'm a little bit younger than Gabe, but I had a very similar situation. I had an extra year of JOs because I graduated high school when I was 17. And my senior season, I actually didn't compete a single meet. I had knee surgery in October before its competition season started. So I was like, I want one more year to show what I can do, maybe try and find a roster spot somewhere, something like that. And, getting later into that extra season, I was talking to one program and things kind of fizzled out, and that was, how it was. It'd be like that. But I reached out to the Iowa program, and you have to do a lot of self-promotion for a Gymact. And, I did that and was offered a spot on the team, and here we are now.
I'm consistently impressed by the strength of the recruiting classes. So you both mentioned taking more time to improve your gymnastics skill. And as someone, I grabbed my chest there because you said you graduated high school in 2022, which is when I graduated college. And so I consistently told my coaches, once I was probably a senior and in my 5th year, I don't think I could have been recruited to a D1 program had I been 18 that year. I mean, to put it politely, I was like hot buns, and my coaches took a chance and allowed me to develop with the roster spot. And I mean, without that opportunity, I cannot. It's hard to imagine what it would have looked like. Would I have taken the next year to train? And so, both of you saying that is just a testament to not only how impressive that is that you chose to work on it, and how difficult that must be. Because I mean, it seems to get crazier and crazier every single year. And so I'm extremely grateful for all the Gymact programs because I, of course, want everyone to do college gymnastics. I think it's the best thing ever in whichever way, shape, or form you get to participate. So no, it's just something I admire because, yeah, I had a teammate who did the work, the old school work onto the team method. He came without a roster spot. And he tried out freshman year and was cut, and then sophomore, and then junior year, the whole program got cut. And then, but he kept training, and we'd support him by going to the club practices because he was really the only like seriously training athlete on the team at the time. And by our senior year, he actually worked his way onto the team and he got to compete the full season. But I have seen like firsthand how difficult it can be to train when you don't know whether or not you're going to have a roster spot at the end there, and that's just something that's tough to work through. And I'm impressed that you could do it because not everyone's has that determination, that grit.
You guys mentioned having to fundraise for yourself, and like you guys kind of, once again, you sponsor yourself. What's kind of like a rough estimate for how much money you need to make this happen a year? Would you happen to know that, or I'm just guessing a lot?
Well, I do a lot of the travel. I do hotels and a good chunk of the travel stuff that we do for competitions.
Mhm.
For flying meets, we try to keep them to a minimum, 2 a year, usually conferences and nationals. Those end up being around $8,000 to $9,000 each, and then each other competition we have a lot in Minnesota, and within driving distance, we'll just take a van, stay at a hotel for a couple nights. Those tend to be, I mean, they can float around like $1,000 to 2,500 depending on where it's at and how far we have to go. So,
Do you guys have any signature fundraising? Cool
um,
guy car wash.
unfortunately, we've had some struggles coming up with fundraising ideas. Right now, we're doing a lot of T-shirt sales. A lot of the parents have been helping. Um, it's yeah, with the University of Iowa, we have a lot of restraints with the use of logos and certain accounts. We can't run GoFundMe's or anything through the club because any like third party thing like GoFundMe that takes profit from the university's likeness, we're not allowed to do. So it makes it pretty complicated to come up with fundraising options other than just like, hey, go to our website and please donate to us. So the parents have been a big help with making T-shirts and selling them and promoting it just amongst, fans, parents, friends, and donating the money of whatever profits themselves. They've been a huge help.
I love your guys' little logo of the Iowa guy doing the Iowa Eagle doing the ring.
Hawkeye, come on now.
The
Come
What
on now, whatever.
cross, yeah.
did you say Georgia Bulldog?
Okay, get out of here.
No, no, dude. I think that T-shirt is sick.
We'll
Okay.
get you a shirt, Jakey. Don't worry.
Well, I've only asked for one.
I know, I know.
With that being said, you guys are doing pretty good this year. I think Gabe, you said you guys are ranked 6 overall and third in the Eastern Conference. So, one of you guys walk me through that a little bit. How has this year been shaping up? Let's step into the world of a Gymact athlete. First off, something I've noticed with you guys is you guys practice super late at night. When do you guys get to start practice? Because you get out at like 10 usually.
So we start at like 5:30 p.m. and we go normally until about 9:30 is I think when we're supposed to be, but some days it stretches till 10 depending on how long conditioning takes or if people stick around to do some recovery stuff or just extra stretching. We have saunas in the facility that a lot of guys like to use after practice, and that's a huge thing. And on top of that, we also do morning lifts.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Do
All
you have
right.
to share the gym during your training period? Like, is there anyone else in there, or do you guys have free run of the place?
The club team also uses that space. They're usually in there from like 6:30 to 8:30, and they have been kind of a huge help because they really work around us and understand that we're taking, not that they don't take gymnastics seriously, but we're on a bit of a different level when it comes to training and seriousness with that training. So they very kindly move to the side a little bit when we need to use the floor or something. So
Does Iowa have a men's club team as well, or is it just a women's?
It's co-ed.
yeah,
Oh,
So
there's
yeah.
there's just a club team. So there's men's and women's on the club team, and we're under that kind of blanket category. Also, we've tried in the past to just split different clubs and programs, but the only way the universe would allow us to split is by gender. If there was male, like men's and women's club gymnastics, but then we would be taking the men's doing NAIGC kind of based club gymnastics, and they would not be able to be a part of the women that are in there, and it would make it this whole complicated thing. So
That's
Gotcha.
a bummer, especially because in club you get to do all of the events if you want to. They call
mhm,
it the decathlon. So
yeah.
I've seen a couple girls because I'm on the club team at William and Mary now that I'm not on varsity, and they'll run like all of the events. And for those of you wondering, yes, they do floor twice. They do a women's floor routine and they do a men's floor routine, and they also vault twice.
Wow.
As
That's impressive.
I've not heard of that before.
Really? Oh yeah.
I've heard of it. I've just never seen it like in practice. That's super impressive.
Yeah, I got to judge a couple of club meets last year, and funnily enough, there'd be some meets where there were more people like doing just women's gymnastics, even from the guys. I remember one time like asking like, "Are you like a couple of guys?" I'm like, "Are you doing men's floor?" And they're like, "No, we want to dance." And I was like, "Word up, all right, I'll have fun watching." Like,
Sorry. I was just the most vivid like guy doing a girl's floor routine and just strutting it to Michael Jackson.
I watched a
Hell yeah, dude.
40-year-old man dance to the Harry Potter theme song and do a women's floor routine last year.
Marsh, I,
He
I
was
did
super into it.
Marsh, I did that in private for you. I don't know why you're bringing that up right now. Okay, not to backtrack, but I mean we did get slightly off topic. But no, I mean like I brought up, you guys are six overall right now. You're third in
I,
the
I just look to make sure we're fourth in the East. Fourth in the
okay,
East.
so you're fourth in the East
Yeah.
now. How many more competitions do you guys have?
As a team, we have two more. We have Eastern Conferences coming up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and then Nationals in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay, so ranking wise, how many other teams are there? Do you know or
I can look really quick here. There are 14 teams overall.
okay, that's sick that you guys are right there. So here's my question. Do you feel like you can take home that win this year? How's the team looking? You guys have some pretty good people. This is probably not the time to say not too good. It's time to give a shout out to that Nolan kid. Nolan, keep it going, buddy.
I think top three is definitely achievable for us this year. I think, we really come together as a team. We really hit our events. I think top three is definitely doable.
Yeah, we peaked at our last meet with a 292. I think right now we have a lot of freshmen on the team, a massive class of
They're the majority.
9 freshmen this year. So it's a little bit of a rebuild and getting comfortable with the team time right now. I think next year is going to be really big for the program. But yeah, third place is kind of what we're aiming for, especially just behind Minnesota and Arizona. They're the kind of big bad two in Gymact right now. So we're trying our best to get up right there with them.
I hear ya. That's great, man. I would obviously love to see you guys end up in that top three. I'd love to see Iowa take number one now. No offense to Michigan and Arizona. I just don't know your GMAC team that well. These are my buddies. So here's another question about GMAC. You guys do all your own video edits. You guys have an Instagram page. Do you feel like that contributes immensely into getting the word out about you guys?
I think it hugely does. I'm going to take this one because personally, I do a lot of the media work.
Oh
It's
my
me.
gosh, he's talking again.
Okay.
No,
It's
let's hear it, Connor.
it's me and Nolan, freshman on the team. We do all the media stuff, and I think it helps dramatically with getting the word out for us and stuff like that. People share it everywhere. I mean, obviously, all the guys are going to repost what we do. Shout out all them for that. Um, but incoming freshmen or people interested in the program see that, and they're like, I want to be a part of that. I mean, at least that's how I would view college gymnastics media when I was, an incoming freshman and stuff like that. So I personally think media and stuff like that is a huge part of getting recruits and just getting the word out about us and what we're doing.
Oh, I agree. I mean, your edits go crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
Not to just
thank you,
gas you up,
man.
but you be putting some masterpieces together. There have been plenty of times where like I'm watching a video and I gotta pause and just like reflect on what I just watched. You do a very good job,
Thank you.
and
I
I
appreciate
do
that.
think it goes a long way because yeah, I mean, obviously with men's gymnastics being niche, it doesn't always go viral and reach the masses at large, but the gym community is small, and so like younger athletes are absolutely seeing these edits that you put together. They see what colleges post, they see what the athletes themselves post. And I mean, half of gymnastics is clip farming anyway. So like they're excited to do it themselves. They're excited to watch. I've had athletes who came up to me and told me that part of the reason they came on a recruiting trip is because they saw a promo I made and thought it was funny and like it looked like we were having fun. So they wanted to check it out. So I do think it goes a long way, and you do a good job. So.
Thank you again. I appreciate that a lot.
So guys, over the course of this episode, we've gotten to learn not only how Gymact works, but mostly how your guys' Iowa Gymact works. You guys are self-funded. The school does give you a training area. You don't do scholarships. With all this being accounted for in the state of men's gymnastics, just a very simple question for all you guys. Is this the future of men's gymnastics? Now, of course, for me, and this is nothing against Gymact teams. Like we said at the very beginning, I think Gymact gives gymnasts an amazing opportunity to keep competing if maybe they didn't make the team their first year. Maybe they don't want to do club. Maybe they want to keep competing on a different level. And I'm sure there's been Gymact kids who didn't get a scholarship and then they got to eventually either try out for the team or, like make or at least keep doing Gymact. But with the state of men's gymnastics, with colleges cutting programs, is this where we see men's gymnastics in 10 years? Personally, that I don't want it to be. I want the colleges to keep the bigger teams, but I just don't know because unfortunately, it's like every 4 years we get a gust of wind where people are like, "Oh my gosh, gymnastics is awesome! I love the Olympics," and then like where we we leave a year and everyone's like, "Yeah, yeah, like men's gymnastics, who knows?"
So I'll tackle this first. I think the two are going to be at some point rather parallel. I mean, programs getting cut all the time across other sports, not just gymnastics, is always a scary thing. I'm someone who advocates for just athletics in general, and I hate seeing any program cut any sport. But obviously, gymnastics being near and dear to my heart, it's always, heartbreaking hearing about a program and stuff like that. But within the last couple of years, two new programs being brought to the NCAA level has definitely brought hope with, Greenville and Simpson. But Gymact is constantly growing. I mean, kind of like what Gabe said, there's two new teams being added this year, or it might just be one. But next year, there's already talks of a Massachusetts team being brought in and an Oregon team, I believe, being brought in, which will have our numbers be greater than that of the NCAA for team-wise, at least. But, and again, with you said athletes changing from Gymact to NCAA, we have two prime examples of that. Two guys from Minnesota, Kellen Ryan, went to Penn State and he's doing amazing. And Charlie Larson going from Minnesota to Michigan. And Charlie's been like an absolute dog. If you guys have seen his vaults and stuff like that,
I believe he is first in the nation on floor right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he's first on floor and he's definitely up there on vault right now. Shout out Charlie, love that kid. But overall, I think Gymact is just a positive thing for the men's college gymnastics scene in general. I don't know if it'll ever beat NCAA, but it's something here and it gives an opportunity for people to keep pursuing their dreams,
Yeah, I think Gymact and the NCAA are something that perfectly coincide. I think that they should both grow together because having that little bit higher level NCAA gymnastics, as much as I love Gymact, across the board, it's not as competitive, high level, high difficulty as NCAA. I would love to see NCAA funded programs increased, brought back. Gymact, it's really nice for those people that want to focus on school, focus on their lives. To be eligible for Gymact, you don't have to be a full-time student. You can be a gymnastics coach. There's different ways of going about it that keep people doing the sport competitively. And I think that that is great for those people that want it to be that way. But those people that are those next level athletes, I mean, Kellen Ryan and Charlie Larson figured it out. There's a lot of athletes in Gymact that could be that NCAA level that just don't have the opportunities based on programs dropping or lineups being smaller. Now they're only doing 4 up, and you can only travel 12. Um, it seems like the NCAA is just slowly cutting it down more and more, but I think both together should perfectly work.
Yeah, so I would also, of course, prefer that NCAA be the standard in that, I think the athletes who are willing to put in the time and the effort should be rewarded with, scholarship opportunities and access to a trainer. Trainer at the very least. I mean, it's such a physically demanding sport. Just the ability to get into the, get into the training room, get some ice, get some help if you need it. But beyond that, of course, the expansion of Gymact is fantastic. Increasing opportunities for the athletes who can't, afford to go out of state and don't live in a state where, there is men's gymnastics, which is more than there aren't. I mean, 15 varsity programs, and we've got 50 states. Two of the programs are in the same state. I mean, that's just mathematically, that's not fantastic. Out of state tuition's expensive. So, of course, I would love to see that NCAA expanded, but increasing Gym Act proportionally is fantastic as well. I think it's going to always boil down to money, although I don't think the value of sports is monetary personally. I mean, that's just how it always comes back to. But there are a lot of smart people working really hard on it. And so, like with Simpson and Greenville, where, you're creating these, Title IX compliant, almost self-funded, inexpensive, you know, packages of sports where you can then, you know, approach a school with low enrollment or struggling enrollment and say, hey, I can get, 40 to 50 kids who are going to sign up to do gymnastics, men's and women's, for the next however many years. And you're actually making more in tuition from having a constant stream of people attend your school for the opportunity to do gymnastics. We have more athletes who want to do gymnastics than have the opportunity to do so. And so fiscally, it makes sense to, approach this problem as part of the solution as well. So yeah, I think it's just going to come back to money. Whoever can figure out how to package it, and if the NCAA stops losing all their antitrust lawsuits and there aren't incredibly significant, dramatic financial impacts from that, but that's neither here nor there. For now, I am super excited that Gymact is growing the way it is, and I could absolutely see myself on a Gymact team. Easy money. I mean, the opportunity to do gymnastics and pay in-state tuition.
And that is an option. There was a guy on Minnesota last year who competed his 4 years at Nebraska and then went and did a year at Minnesota for their team and, just got to compete and do what he loved a little bit longer.
So wrapping up this episode real quick, I want to throw it over to Gabe and Connor real quick. I want to let you guys say your final thoughts on Gymact. Gabe, let's start with you, man. What are your final thoughts on Gymact for this episode of Podnastics Chalk Show?
I do have one thing that I kind of wanted to add in before that. A huge thank you to all of the coaches and people that help with Gymact that don't get paid. Our coaches are all volunteer. They take a ton of time out of their days and their lives. And I know that there's a lot of other coaches and people that work behind the scenes to make it all function that don't get paid anything. They just love the sport and to it. And I mean, gymnastics has a great community, and we're all very thankful for that. Our coach, Tom Dunn, was NCAA coach for 40 years, and he retired, and we pulled him right back into it, and he's still helping out. So, final thoughts on Gymact. I'm very happy that it's still growing. I mean, meeting all the different people on different teams has, introduced me to a lot of opportunities. And, I'm glad that I went and joined the Iowa Gymact. It's been amazing so far, and I'm excited for the rest of the season here.
I want to, again, piggyback off Gabe. I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunity and would like to also say thank you to all the coaches working for Gymact programs who don't get the attention that they definitely deserve, keeping this sport alive. And overall, I think Gymact's a great experience. It's let me pursue my dream ever since, I was 6 years old. I wanted to do college gymnastics, and it's given me the opportunity to do that. It's given me the opportunity to have this brotherhood of a team where, people like John Roethlisberger have been quoted saying that he wouldn't trade the years he had in college gymnastics for anything. He said it was some of the best times of his life, and meeting all the people I have on other teams and our team has just been amazing, and I'm incredibly thankful for it all.
Well, that's awesome. Guys, that's all the time we have today for this episode of Chalk Show. So, with that, my name is Jacob Daniel.
I am Christian Marsh.
I'm Connor Van Boxler.
I'm Gabe Fry.
And this has been the Chalk Show. Good night, Iowa.